Welcome to hour number 21 of the Christmas Spectacular Extravaganza.
It has been a spectacular extravaganza, hasn't it?
Here at Infowars.com.
Almost was like blockchain rights. It's almost this new futuristic.
Well, yeah, like I was hitting on earlier, we've bypassed the financial system, the establishment financial system, and now they're wanting to get in. Of
course.
You see all the big banks trying to get in on Bitcoin now because they missed the boat. They're like, wow, people are going to do this with or without us. They don't need JP Morgan's permission. When Bank of America and others were freezing people's accounts for buying Bitcoin a few years back, now they can't do that anymore. Well, now that they'll try to put little stops here and there, or, put a delay on your money, or, look into your account or something. But
well, so you know more about Bitcoin than I do. What is the danger of, could there be some sort of false flag where they buy a ton of Bitcoin and then crash it and then, like use big government supercomputers to mine an immense amount of Bitcoin, crash the market? Could they do something to, convince the public that it's dangerous and that, oh, there's so much illegal stuff going on that we actually need to come in and have regulations about Bitcoin? Because now that Bitcoin is like becoming a real thing that everybody knows about.
There's lots of money in it.
There's lots of money in it. What are they going to do to try to stop that?
So I initially got into Bitcoin years ago because I saw its use as a payment, method. You could do transactions through Bitcoin. And because of the volume of transactions that it's scaled to, and I think Bitcoin definitely has some scalability issues, now it's not very practical to use it as a payment method, because to get your transaction confirmed on the blockchain, you have to send a fee with that transaction, a miner fee, which goes to the people who are mining the Bitcoin. And at this point, that's a couple dollars. Years ago, you could send thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin, which was a number of Bitcoin,
right?
But you could send that for cents or, just pennies. But now with the high value of one Bitcoin and the mining fees and all these blocks that are constantly full, because each 10 minutes there's a new block that's mined. Okay. So the miners are getting this. I'm trying to think of how to explain this in few words.
I'm very dumb. Make it.
But yeah, the blocks are mined, and you have to pay a transaction fee for your Bitcoin to be sent, whatever transaction you're trying to do. So as far as being a actual currency in 2017 going into 2018, there's going to be some improvements that need to take place in Bitcoin. And there's people working on that technology, but just using the Bitcoin core code, there's issues right now with using it for transactions. As far as could it be compromised? Could the government do some sort of attack? So Bitcoin is mined, and the miners pretty much control the network. They can vote essentially on different changes to the Bitcoin protocol, and
because it's
supposed to be right. So when there's a change introduced, the miners vote on it by it's activating some sort of flag in the code. But basically, when it hits a certain number, that becomes where the blockchain goes to. So that would be called a soft fork in the code. So the blockchain is splitting off. Then there's hard forks too, but we won't get into all of that. There could be an attack on Bitcoin. If you control the majority of the network, the mining network, then you can do some manipulation there. You can spend a transaction twice, which people used to worry about that with small value things. They're like, oh, should I wait for 3 confirmations? That was kind of the rule. Wait for 3 confirmations, which is about 30 minutes to know that the money is not going to be reversed somehow. It's like, well, you can really only do something like that if you have 51% of the entire Bitcoin network, which right now just the sheer power, electrical power involved in having 50% of the Bitcoin network is just immense. I mean, the scale that Bitcoin is happening at today and the cost going into it, and electrical costs, things like that, the hardware to mine it. People started mining this on their computer CPUs. Then they moved to graphics cards. Then they moved to there's something in between graphics cards and ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits. And these are chips that are created to do specifically this one equation, the SHA-2 hash, which is basically what you're solving to mine the Bitcoin. So these are circuits created to do that much faster than your computer can. So you can't really mine Bitcoin anymore with your computer processor.
Interesting.
And the cost of just the hardware alone to capture half the Bitcoin network would be, I'm making up numbers here, but I would imagine it's many billions of dollars.
Yeah.
In order to make a significant impact on the market. There's only certain companies out there, because you want to get one of these chips made, you have to go to a chip foundry.
Right.
You know, you have to have someone design the integrated circuits. It's very involved, very expensive. So do I think someone could hack Bitcoin? Not really. Could government get involved? Yes. Are we at risk of things like China manipulating currency? Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about, because also I believe it's something like 80% of the Bitcoins are mined in China. That's a number I heard somewhere.
A lot of that goes on, a lot of the mining goes on in China because of the corruption that is rampant in China. So with Bitcoin, your biggest factor in profitability is your cost of electricity. So in China, if you know the right people, from what I've heard, the electricity is essentially free. So they set up these
convenient
Bitcoin mines that would be using tens of millions of dollars of electricity, you know, as much as, you know, large factories or things like that per year. And instead of paying their power bill, it's all just going into their pocket. So yeah, there's a significant amount of Bitcoin mining being done in China. It wouldn't make sense in a lot of the places in the US, unless you're getting, you know, some killer deal on power, to be mining Bitcoin here in the United States.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think I know a bit about Bitcoin. I've been involved with it, you know, for
a lot more than me.
at least 6-7 years now, probably about 6 years, and I still don't think I know very much. You know, I've met core developers of Bitcoin, Peter Todd. I had the opportunity to meet him in Houston when I was still living there, but I still don't know. Guys like John McAfee, guests we have on the show like that, Max Kaiser, they're much better informed about all the intricacies of Bitcoin. Do I think the current price is kind of speculative? I do.
Yeah.
I think what's driving the price is people not wanting to miss out.
Right.
Do I also think the price is going to keep climbing? Yes.
Interesting.
Do I wish I would have held on to more Bitcoin? Absolutely.
Yeah, you're telling me you spent the equivalent of like $10 million on a pizza?
No, that wasn't me. But a few years ago, there was a website that allowed you to buy airfare with Bitcoin, and this was probably 3-4 years ago. And I did a round trip flight to DC, and then I took another one to I think it was Colorado. And those two trips combined, and if I would have just hung on to that Bitcoin, today would be something like $250,000.
That's amazing.
So
we're probably missing out.
So a little bit of fear of missing out kind of stuff, or regrets of, you know, having spent it. But there's really no way to know, no sure that John McAfee thinks it's going to hit $1 million per Bitcoin by 2020. So I hope he's right.
Well, one of the reasons I say that is because, you know, obviously we're worried about the banking system and the way that the banking cartels are able to manipulate the currency, manipulate money, and control entire governments that way, and that type of stuff. Obviously, Ron Paul has been a long-time supporter of the gold standard. People are now sort of moving away from that. I think it's sort of seen as a little bit antiquated, and they're looking at cryptocurrencies as a viable alternative. I actually have a story here. It's from a little while ago, but it's pertinent. It's Japan considers launching J-Coin, eliminating cash before Tokyo 2020 games. And so they're trying to eliminate cash as a payment option in all of Japan, which is interesting because Japan is currently functioning at a 70% cash economy, which is huge.
Wow.
Yeah, much higher than us. Yeah, which I would not have expected considering Japan is so technologically advanced. But there you go. So they're trying, and it's sort of the same thing with.
Is this your rundown?
No, yeah. This was from a while
that's
ago.
interesting.
And obviously, and the reason they're saying they want to do it is as a means of tracking transaction. That's the same reason why they moved to a cashless, or are moving towards a cashless system in India right now, is because there's a huge, I think they call it black money or black market, where it's untaxed, and basically it's untaxed. Basically, that's the big problem with it, is that it changes hands without the government coming in and taking a little piece, and they want to get rid of that. So they get rid of cash, because obviously cash, it's impossible to track. And so that's why I'm kind of confused. I'm trying to figure out cryptocurrency, because it seems like, you know, here it says, you know, they're moving to, I guess you could consider it a cryptocurrency as a means of tracking transactions. So I get confused as to why cryptocurrency is considered more safe or more liberating than the fiat currency we have now.
Well, certain cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, it's pretty easy to kind of de-anonymize where the money came from. If there's an account that's, let's say, known to be associated with Coinbase, which is a large Bitcoin exchange, wallet service, they've been in the Bitcoin space for a number of years now. And then there's an address known to be associated with the Silk Road or associated to whoever. They can kind of trace those and put together a profile. But then there's other cryptocurrencies that are more anonymous, and the transactions are not visible of where the money was sent to. Cody Wilson, who we were speaking about a few minutes ago, he actually was working on a service called Dark Wallet that would shuffle your Bitcoins around to anonymize your transactions. He kind of has his hands in everything. It's like
level of
untraceable guns, untraceable money. But
it's good. I mean, it's all towards.
I think cryptocurrency in general has a lot of potential for. You were talking about India, lots of the developing world, Africa, and most of these countries, everyone has cell phones. They may not be smartphones, but they have cell phones. These countries have pretty good cellular networks. We were in a very devastated part of Haiti that had been absolutely destroyed after the hurricane. But there's full bars of 3G, and these people had solar panels and things like that, and that all be gathered around with these power strips plugged into power strips plugged into a generator, all charging their cell phones, because the cell phone was kind of a lifeline.
That's amazing
for them. So, like I said, the transaction fee on Bitcoin right now is more than a lot of people in the world live on per day. So is Bitcoin the answer for kind of unbanking these people? No, Bitcoin's not. But cryptocurrency in general, creating monetary systems where they can send money with just a text message.
Right.
So these people don't have.
Yeah, that's one of the things they're doing.
They may not have cash. They may not have a bank, but they can send money to each other through their phones. There's a lot of potential in that. And you were asking who the different miners are. Here's a graph here, the different percentages. Antpool 18.1%, BTC.com 21%. So these are mining pools, and people run their miners at home, and their miners contribute to a pool. So you're kind of working in a group to increase your odds of mining that Bitcoin block and getting the reward of that block, but you're getting a portion of it. Now, you could run your miner by yourself, and if you get it right, you get either, I forget when it halved, but either 50 Bitcoin, or I believe it's down to 25 is the reward now for mining the block. You would get the entirety of that. Whereas in this, your pool might mine a block every, 30 minutes or an hour, depending upon which one of these you belong to. BTC.com at 21%. In an hour, they'll probably mine 2 blocks. Just guessing, 60 minutes, a new block every 10 minutes. You've got 6 of those. They've got 20% of it. So between 1 and 2 an hour. And you'd get a portion of that, whatever your share is, after they take out their 1% or whatever the administrative fee for the pool is. So you don't really have any large Bitfury. I think they do their own mining, their own hardware. So there are some in here that they're actually doing the mining. It's more kind of centralized mining. And I'm not sure about some of these other players. Like I said, I haven't been super involved in the past 2 years or so. I used to be a lot more involved with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, but it has potential. It definitely has potential. And whether it's Bitcoin or not, whether Bitcoin's going to crash, I mean, it's not going to crash to $100 tomorrow or anytime. That just isn't going to happen, because also you have to consider the amount of power and electricity that goes into mining this. That proof of work that is inherent to Bitcoin makes it worth something. Money was spent going into that. So people hold value in it.
Interesting. Well, all I know is that typically banks are not very friendly with competition, so I'm interested to see how they react to this.
When we've seen them kind of get involved and want to manipulate the market, they're talking about wanting to do futures on Bitcoin, which.
Well, I don't understand futures or Bitcoin, so I got nothing to say about that.
So futures, you're basically betting on the price of something, and you're buying and selling these futures. Yeah. So I'll tell you that I want to buy 1 ton of oats for this price, or 10,000 gallons of jet fuel at the end of 2018 for this price per barrel.
Right.
And you can buy and sell that. And so that's kind of how airlines and other large companies manage their costs, because they're able to figure it out in advance.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of money to be made in that. But with Bitcoin, I really don't think it's appropriate, and it's opening it up to a lot of incentive to manipulate
Right.
Bitcoin. And you're also trading on something that's not exactly tangible. I don't know. I think it's a bad idea, but
It's a brave new world we're entering.